Bucknutters, welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, February 12th, 2018. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Steve Helwagen. Steve, Ohio State's basketball team, just, another day, another win. They handled Iowa with ease on Saturday, 82-64. You were there covering it, along with our Patrick Murphy. Buckeyes, of course, now 22-5 overall, Steve, and 13-1 in Big Ten play. It's just amazing. All alone at the top of the Big Ten standings, and they hold the tiebreaker, of course, over Purdue and Michigan State if they would end up in a tie. Steve, obviously the NCAA tournament committee came out with their, if this tournament started today, what would the seeds be? Ohio State would be a 4 seed if the tournament started today. Do you think that's about right, Steve, or do you think the Buckeyes should be on the 3 line right now?
I got them moved up to the number 3 line, and there's a lot of variables that go in hand in hand with this, and they say, well, don't look at the rankings because the rankings aren't going to be indicative of what the seed should be. But to me, Ohio State was the number 14 team. They went on the road. They beat the number 3 team. Then they won another game by 18 points on Saturday, and teams in front of them lost. I mean, Kansas lost. Various other teams in front of them lost and should fall below them, in my way of thinking. And I think Ohio State is definitely a top 12 team. If you're a top 12 team, you should be a 3 seed. I mean, if you're, 9 through 12, that seems about right. I've got Ohio State about number 10 right now, right behind Clemson. But, when they revealed those seeds, the thing that kind of hits you between the eyes is the names of the teams. If you're Duke or North Carolina, Arizona, Oklahoma with a star player, and so on, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. And they have these teams, in a lot of cases, way overseeded, and I think Ohio State as a 4 is somewhat laughable. But, they're going to do what they're going to do, and there's much more time left in the season. Ohio State's got 4 regular season games left, plus the Big Ten tournament. And the big thing for them right now is to go at least 3-1 down the stretch here and clinch a share of the championship, and by doing that, they would be automatically the number 1 seed because they would be tied with Michigan State and or Purdue, and they beat both those teams in their only matchup with each team, so they get the tiebreaker and would be the number 1 seed. And why is that important? Well, it's important because in the semifinals, you could be playing Nebraska or Michigan, and then in the championship game, you wouldn't play Michigan State or Purdue until the championship game, and you'd only have to play one of them as opposed to one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So I think that's a much preferable route. And there's also something psychological about winning the Big Ten regular season championship in Coach Holtmann's first year. I mean, that is just nothing short of remarkable what we're seeing, what they've put themselves in position to do. It's been an amazing year, and now the question is, can they finish it off? Can they win at Indiana? Can they win at Penn State? I think they're going to take care of Rutgers, no problem. And then, of course, the question is, can they win at Michigan next Sunday? That's a big one. So 3 road games, 1 home game, which seems like a show-up-and-win type game against Rutgers, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, here over the next 2 weeks as they sort that out and then get into the Big Ten tournament at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, what are the expectations now in your estimation? I mean, there's a lot of things that are possible. I mean, this team they could, live up to Dan Dockich's preseason prediction. They could go to the Final Four. But as far as what would you be disappointed if something didn't happen? For example, would you be very disappointed? I know I would be if at this point they don't win the Big Ten regular season title. As you mentioned, that's something, they'd have a banner forever that would say, Big Ten champions in 2018. How cool would that be? Getting to the Sweet 16, getting to the Elite 8. What are the realistic expectations? What would you be disappointed if they don't accomplish going forward?
Oh, that's kind of hard to say. Expectations and goals are kind of 2 different things. I think their goal at this point is to win the Big Ten regular season championship. You work so hard for this to get into this position, and it's right there in front of you. You don't need anybody's help. You just go out, take care of business yourself, and come back with the Big Ten championship. And just an unthought of, unheard of. To me, this is akin to Skinny Finn and Michael Redd the team going from 8 wins to 27 wins in the Final Four the next year. That's the kind of transformation and turnaround. A team that was picked anywhere from 9th to 12th in the Big Ten race in the magazines and online before the season to be able to win the championship. If they went out, they win it outright. And not only that, they would win it at 17-1, which even some of the best Big Ten teams haven't come close to that type of a record. Now, we could sit here today and debate their schedule, and the top of the Big Ten has really feasted on the bottom of the Big Ten in many ways. I mean, this is about as bad a bottom of the Big Ten with Rutgers, Illinois, Iowa, some of these other teams that Wisconsin's having their worst year in 20 years as well. So, to me, I just think that go out, take care of business. I agree with you at this point. If they can win the Big Ten regular season, I don't even worry about the conference tournament. That's kind of immaterial because what our experience is, the NCAA stuff's pretty much set going into the weekend on Friday. And if somebody plays their way off the bubble and into the tournament, they obviously have to make an accounting for that. But the seeding usually doesn't change a whole lot from Friday to Sunday of that weekend. And I don't know. I just think the NCAA, if they can get to the Sweet 16, that'd be fabulous. And anything that happens beyond that, it's all extra gravy at this point.
Let's switch gears to football. As we reported late Friday night, Taver Johnson is the favorite to join Ohio State's coaching staff as the 10th assistant. He would replace Kerry Combs if this comes to fruition as the corners coach, and this is a guy with, experience as a linebackers coach too, so maybe he could help out a little bit there if needed. But obviously if he does join the staff, he would be the corners coach. That would be his main duty. A guy obviously that was on Jim Tressel's staff for 4 years at Ohio State. Was at Ohio State a total of 5 years, including the year with Luke Fickell in 2011. If this happens, just what type of hire do you think Taver Johnson will be, this homecoming to Ohio State?
Yeah, I think that would be fine with me. He seems like from the 5 years, as you said, we kind of worked with him previously. He's a guy that was very impressive in his time previously at Ohio State. And, I think that you have to be excited about the possibility of a guy coming back to Ohio State who knows what it means to be at Ohio State. Obviously, the teams that he coached on here with Coach Tressel, in large part, they won 4 Big Ten championships before, obviously, Coach Tressel left. And then, as you said, he was on the staff with Luke Fickell the one season in 2011. He has had a lot of different experiences, a lot of different places. He went on to Arkansas after that and was even the interim coach there at Arkansas for a very short period of time. When he was at Ohio State, he had a couple of All-Americans. He had Malcolm Jenkins and Chimdy Checkler were guys that he coached there. So, it's not just been a run of great cornerback play at Ohio State just since Kerry Combs got there. This is a guy that has had top flight players and is currently the assistant head coach and I believe co-defensive coordinator for Temple. So I think get him in here and then figure out between he and Grinch who's going to coach what, and Shiano as well. Another thing about Taver that you have to like, he is a native of the great city of Cincinnati, the great state of Ohio, and played college ball at Wittenberg and Springfield. So I look at it that this is a guy that knows full well what Ohio and Ohio State are all about.
Absolutely. The burning question that we're going to debate for a long time, but let's tackle it here on the show to end the show here. Dwayne Haskins, talk about burying the lead here, Steve. Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow, throw Tate Martell in there if you want to. Who wins the battle this spring to be Ohio State's starting quarterback? And two-part question, if, maybe that won't happen, could Urban not name a starter this spring?
Well, that is a great question. I think it doesn't really behoove him to make a proclamation out there of one's better than the other or one's ahead of the other or we're going to play one more than the other. I think Joe Burrow would well be within his rights as a graduate after the spring semester to pursue a transfer somewhere else if this doesn't work out and he doesn't end up as the starter. So there's going to be some hard conversations, my guess, is after spring football with Kevin Wilson, Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, trying to figure out what the roles will be. And as you talk to people, everyone seems to be of a mind that Tate Martell will have some kind of a role as maybe a red zone quarterback or a wildcat quarterback. Or I think it's exciting to see how it's all going to shake out. I would say Haskins is the favorite. I think Haskins will probably win the job. I think that his talent is just undeniable, I think, but I think Joe Burrow is also right there. And you know, if you had to handicap it, I'd say probably 50% for Haskins and 45% for Burrow and 5% for Martell at this point to me. But I do think if they all stay, they would all certainly see action in 2018.
Yeah, I won't be surprised at all if Urban does not name a starter. It's going to be hard to do that. Now, maybe if one guy is clearly ahead, I think he has to be honest with everybody and just say this is the guy. It'd be fair to everybody. But, you know, if it's relatively close, I could see him saying, though he would know in his own mind it's not 50-50, it might be 51-49. But if it's that close, I could see him not naming a starter publicly just with the hopes of getting all these guys, you know, on the team in the fall, letting it work itself out. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but that's what I hope will happen, Steve, is somehow all of these quarterbacks are still around in the fall. Maybe that's wishful thinking, though.
Yeah, I agree. I just think in this world that we live in, everybody wants and needs that instant gratification. I think there's plenty of work there for two guys. And not that two quarterbacks worked really that well in 2015 when they couldn't, you know, JT just was not on top of his game, and then Cardale came in and was kind of asked to play left-handed, some other type of football that he was not built and ready to play with that offense as it was constructed. So I don't know. It is what it is, and I think Haskins, obviously, with what he did against Michigan, has got everybody excited to see if he can take his game to another level or even a level above that.
It's going to be fun to watch, fun to monitor. It's fun having Steve Helwagen on the show. Thank you for your wisdom, Steve, and thank you to all the listeners out there for tuning in the show. Hope you have a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.